Welcome everybody to another episode.
Hello, hello,
Ahoy!
hello.
It is the Savage Patriots. We're gonna be talking about something today that's a little bit it's
Controversial.
controversial, but it's true. So we're
Just
gonna we're
tiny
gonna
bit.
knock some things out of the park, and we want you guys to hang around, stick around, because it's gonna get a little bit hairy scary. So don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, hello.
Woosah.
Witchick,
Hold
witchick,
on.
witchick.
Hold on. We all have to woosah before this one
Yeah,
because we
calm
can't let
down.
our remember don't let our emotions override our intelligence.
That's
I
right.
I just decided to drink instead.
Okay.
Hey, I haven't had an angry orchard in a long time, so I thought with the Fourth of
Ooh, those are
July,
good.
just get something nice
Hey,
and American,
do
like
what you gotta
an
do.
apple pie, but in drink form.
I guess you got to do what you got to do to keep calm.
Hmm.
Yep.
Keep calm and wear your breeches properly. Um, so we're going to talk about something now, and we're also going to talk about it on Too Strong because it's that big of a deal. Um, if you remember correctly, America has been in a downward spiral for 70, 80 years now. And I would say we've been circling the drain for about another 100 before that. And the 70, 80 that we've been, it's been slowly going. And now we're in that death spiral at the very bottom of the water going into the
Yep.
sewer, and it's really speeding up. Um,
Yep.
when things started really going um, crazy was I don't know how many people remember the March on Washington in 1993. If y'all don't remember the March on Washington in 1993, it was one of the bigger events put together by the gay community to celebrate or and protest um, their
Protest.
rights to
Oh,
appeal.
so that wasn't
Their
Rodney
right.
King. Got it.
No, no, it was to promote for their gay and bi right and equal rights of liberation. They said I don't know what they need to be liberated from, but I don't remember any oppressive years for homosexuals in the country. But hey, they think they've been through a lot, which is why they can equate themselves to blackness. Hey, I didn't say it. They did. They've
My
said that
God.
being gay is just like being black. So
You're right.
I
They
hope you all
Equate it
like
to
that.
the
91.
civil rights movement.
There you go. I hope you all
Yeah.
like that. But don't class me with your nonsense because
No.
I wouldn't. I was born black. You didn't. Okay, so don't. Okay, so it started a while back, and since then they've been slipping things slowly but surely into entertainment, into the public light, into schools, into laws, and it
It's
was
been a
what
long
maybe
game.
about 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, that choir.
Yep.
And we'll be watching that here in a minute. But
Hmm.
um, if you guys even remember, we'll be showing you something here that tells you how long ago it's been going on and how we as regular-minded people kind of took it and didn't even flash an eye about it. So I want you to watch this. Koi has a clip here we're going to bring up. And I kind of want you to watch this before we dive too deep into things. And you guys in the audience tell me if you remember what she's talking about. And if you do remember what she's talking about, did you get mad? Or did you still go out and get your people, your kids, merchandise about what she's talking about? Okay? So,
Mm.
and be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself.
It's the best
Here we
policy.
go. Yeah. Best policy.
Sense
Go ahead.
of well-being and living. And so the fact of thinking gay people aren't right or whatever, that's not my job or my place. I have to have faith that my church is true, and I believe that with all my heart. But at the end of the day, I don't believe it is my job to tell anybody how you can be, what you believe in. And so the whole thing with Disney being on a gay agenda, I don't agree with that. I don't think the movie was on a gay agenda. There was like that part where they're at that cute little store and that guy's like, "Hi family," and then that family pops up. In my mind, I remember seeing a woman, somebody tweeted me a picture that it was a man. But think about it this way: what if Disney's trying to warm up the fact of single parents? Hello, we're out there. What if it was a dad who was married and the wife was out hunting, or maybe she passed away and he was taking care of his kids and being a good father, or maybe his wife was at home in another country because he could afford to get her to wherever they were at. I mean, there's so many possibilities that could be why the wife wasn't there. Maybe she was there and somebody photoshopped that out and then sent that picture out and tweeted it. We can't really even know till the DVD comes out. And even if it was a guy and then that guy was the store owner was a guy and he was saying, hello, family, he was just saying hi to the family. He owned the store. And if that was his boyfriend, that was his boyfriend. I mean, I don't think that any kids are going to walk away from that movie being like, wow, what is Walt Disney thinking? He really is on some kind of agenda. So at the end of the day, my review on that is, so what? Like, why do you have to ruin it? Why do you have to be such a party pooper? Don't try to make something perverted. You're making it into a perversion that it doesn't need to be. It's a good movie. It has a good moral concept of family. And if you believe in God and you believe in Jesus Christ and you believe in what they want for us, they want us to have happy families that make a difference in people's lives. And those sisters did. They taught that whole village the true meaning of really loving your siblings when it's really hard. And to me, I loved that the message of that video, I love that there was a love story in it, but I love that it wasn't centered on that. That's such a good example for young kids to be watching, that they need to love their brothers and sisters, even when it's hard. And there have been so many times in my life where it's so hard for me to love my brothers, as awesome as they are. But that just really shows that family is important and that those sisters needed to stick together after their parents passed away. And it's so silly that this movie has been, like, I don't know, manipulated into being so many different things when it doesn't need to be that way. Just enjoy it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First things first. Have you guys wondered what caused all this? You saw it right there. People like that. What's the big deal? Now, here comes the guilt question. How many of you bought Frozen gear? I want to know.
One for
Not
you
me.
did, two for you didn't in the chat.
But yeah, that was a video from 9 years ago. Like it's nuts to think that the Overton window has shifted so far in terms of that, right?
And the
Mhm.
crazy part
The
is that
longest
she
time,
was
the
a
left have
very
been telling us,
popular.
oh, it's just about, you know, gay rights and gay freedoms and like having the ability to be married. But we saw that wasn't true. As soon as they got that win, they got that W, they went on to the next thing, and even more extreme than the last.
And the crazy part is that she was a very, very, very popular blogger. That was in her heyday.
Yeah,
And she's
and
done
it,
that.
it didn't work out too well for her. But, you know, we can't really act surprised when we're talking about stuff like this, right? You know, Marlon and I are the two oldest in here. Marlon's way older than me. But, you know, we grew up, we went through school, elementary school in the 80s, 90s, and the stuff was there. You know what I mean? They were there. But, you know, it wasn't really in our face. Disney movies back then, it probably was. I didn't understand it. What we're getting at is that now it's more in these children's face to where they're understanding it more, especially the way our country has evolved, the way the world has evolved with technology. You have so much more access. Because back then, if they would have showed that movie to a lot of us older guys, Gen X guys, like Marlon and myself, and if we would have saw something like that on TV, we probably would have been, honestly, we probably would have been like, I don't know what's going on. But now the kids are getting so much of this information, and this is why the title of the podcast is that they're going after the children. They're getting fed so much of this information to where they go to a movie and see it. A little kid can identify exactly what it is. And we're seeing it now.
Yep.
That's a dude.
Mhm.
Shirtless, too, by the way. Shirtless.
Yep.
Now,
No agenda though, right?
no agenda.
Mhm.
Disney doesn't have agendas.
No,
No.
and you're lying.
The magical kingdom.
Okay, how many of you watched? This is for the audience, not for the people on screen.
Mhm.
How many of you watched Cartoon Network growing up?
Oh yeah, I did.
Okay,
For the audience.
I didn't have cable. I come from an Asian household. We don't.
we know how.
They don't do that. They just
They drew their own cartoons.
No, it was math quizzes and periodic tables, and then shoes getting thrown at them if they got a B.
Oh yeah. SOML, guys.
and his dad
Cartoon.
saying emotional damage all the time.
Emotional damage.
So, how many of you remember Steven Universe?
Yeah,
Which one?
that was
Steven
actually after
Universe.
my time.
Yes, I remember Steven Universe.
But yeah, I remember what Steven Universe
Never heard of
is.
Steven Universe, Mr. Lee?
No, sir.
He's
So,
too young.
Steven Universe was one of the most androgynous cartoons ever created.
Yep.
And that's the best way I can say it. Someone tell me, who are the male and the female in this picture? Which one's male? Which one's female? Please tell me.
Well, I would assume that Steven is a male in the middle, right? Or trans or female.
are you?
A schmel? I don't know.
Anybody know? Anybody know which one's male, which one's female in this? Just look at it. Which one? Anyone can tell me which one's male or female?
The colors.
I want to say the redhead character with the bob might be a female, just because
I don't
the way
remember.
it's
Okay.
drawn.
Okay, real quick. Let's use our critical thinking skills here. Look at the colors of each character and what colors do that represent? Does that represent? Think of a flag.
I mean, yes. Yeah, we guess.
right
Steven's
there.
the only one,
Bang.
but
Good
even
call.
Steven's kind of like maybe. Like
That's
Steven
right
was
in your
maybe.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually he went the route of neither.
yeah. It's like I was
Oh.
gonna say like maybe he's just like, or she's chubby butchy. I don't know.
Okay. Now, the reason I bring this up because Steven Universe came out some time ago now. It's not
Mhm.
not new. It's been a minute. They keep
2013.
force feeding this. Okay, let me go back even further. My Little Ponies,
Mhm.
Rainbow Sparkle.
Okay, yeah. There's
Y'all,
that.
y'all remember that? Let me go back even further. Gem Girls.
I
You remember that
Jim.
one, guys?
I remember Jim.
You want to see
You're
how
just-
far back we can go with this?
You're missing the Powerpuff Girls. There's an obvious one there.
Hey, that one's right in the middle of Steven and the
Yeah.
one before. Okay.
Hmm.
Or how about this one? Arthur.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. Now, when we say they are coming for children, we mean it, but they've been telling us for a long time that they're going after the kids. They have been slowly but surely letting people know this was the plan.
Yep.
The plan has always been to introduce them to this so that by this point, and you see it now in full effect, by this point, I would say about a third of Gen Xers are pro LGBTQ.
Mm. 'Cause
That's
who
how poorly we did.
and it started with us, correct?
Yep.
When was
It did
Stonewall?
start. It started with Jen. Well, it didn't affect me because I know what I like. You know what I mean? But yeah, it did. It's crazy because, like I said, I would have never looked at it like that. I haven't looked at that cartoon in years, and now that you show it to me, I'm like, wait a minute, is this what I was watching as a kid? But see, a lot of kids, especially these days, you got to think of like the mind games and the psychological warfare that they're playing on these children. Their brains are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So as the generations go on, it's easier to influence. Generation X was a test for a lot of things. We were the DARE program. We were Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We were the war on drug. All this other stuff. We were like the crash test dummies. But I think a lot of Gen X were a little more resilient, but they were still affected by it. And then we went into the millennials. A lot of the millennials coming in, they tested them also. They were a little more resilient, but they were a little more open to it. And then
they were a lot more open than they were resilient to
a
it
lot
because
more.
of the
And then
condition.
And then you got
And
these
then
kids, millennials, elder millennials raising these Gen Zs, and poof.
Yeah, the Gen Zs
here we
are
go.
fully embracing and involved in, or just
Yes.
not wanting to be left out. You got the FOMO situation going on.
Yeah, that's a way to
So-
put it.
You guys remember Benetton?
I don't remember that one now.
The United Colors of Benetton?
Oh,
No.
that
The
brand?
clothing line?
I do remember that brand.
Okay. Now, here you go. Again, this is not new. Okay, this is not new. And I only realized this wasn't until later, but this was their end goal, and this is where they're at now.
What is that? Well, you just
Yes,
wake
exactly. What is that? Right?
What is that? I mean, technically, if you look at any fashion
Best
like,
question ever.
Yeah.
designers, they all do weird stuff.
He just
so
got out of bed and he just rolled out bed.
like I said, in their defense, I mean,
And-
have
and-
you seen
and-
most fashion shows are weird? You know,
And you know, like stuff like this, we wouldn't have saw that stuff. I mean, it wouldn't have been in our face. You know what I mean? It was very
No,
shielded
no,
from
this
us.
one was. I'll tell you how I know this for a
Really,
fact.
you saw it, man. I grew up in a Christian home, man. You know.
No, look, I'm not talking about it wasn't. This was in our face. We just didn't see what they were saying, but it was in the
Oh.
face. United
Mm.
Colors of Benetton was everywhere. Back home, that commercial was on as often as Buy Men, and that's how often United Color was on.
Wow.
Between that
Mm.
one and the California Raisins, that was always planted right in between something like that. That and always when I look back at it, trust and believe me, you can go back and find the old commercials. Always some really, really dark black dude in the heavy colors, moving exactly like a female would. Go back and look for
Mm.
yourself and see exactly what the plan was. They had a bunch of children in there. They always Nickelodeon was notorious for doing it as well.
Mhm.
Meanwhile,
They
they
have
had
another
child
issue,
groomers
too.
in the back. Okay, so all of it had been going on. And I'm sorry to say this: the people to blame is us. It's not Benetton. It's not Cartoon Network. It's not Nickelodeon. It's not Disney. It's us. Why? Because we weren't vigilant. We were quite happy to sit back and be entertained.
Mhm.
We were stoked. Heck, okay, anybody know how old Brokeback Mountain is?
it actually
Like
came out the year
23
before
years.
he died.
Hmm?
It came out the year before he died. So whenever the Dark Knight came out.
It's like 15 years, 16 years ago now.
2005.
Yeah.
We are
18
in
years, yeah.
23 now. We're almost 20 years
Mhm.
since that came out.
And I remember when that was a big stink too when it came out.
It was stink, but it made money.
Yeah.
There were hordes of people that went to watch it. Now,
That's
this
true.
is how bad. I went to a Christian college, and they were trying to show it on campus.
Mm.
Make that make sense.
Yeah.
Because they were told it's a love story. They never vetted it until people started raising a stink and tell them, go and watch it. And then they decided not to. But 2005 to 2023, they tried pushing it then.
Hmm.
And you say, well, that's not towards kids. You want to bet? How many kids do you know back in the day were still into cowboys and Indians? How many true men boys, the boys that were like, boys, were into cowboy and Indians? They had to go and tackle the cowboy business at some point. And they did. So today, when you have pride people, someone bring up that one in the private chat. Anyone can bring that up. What you got down there, Koi? Is that the same girl or a different thing?
Oh, this is the
That's
the
it.
chorus
Perfect.
that-
Yeah. Play it from the beginning.
As we celebrate Pride and the progress we've made over these past years, there's still
This
work
is 2
to be
years
done.
ago, by the way.
So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you. You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked.
Yep.
Funny, just this once, you're correct.
Right in front of our
We'll
face.
convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep them from disco, warn about San Francisco, make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first, I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning your children into accepting, caring people, but I see now why you'd have a problem with that.
Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of of where they go at night to protest. Oh, and you'll be disgusted so gross when they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight, like information. Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children, yes we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
'Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
And the world's getting kinder.
Gen Z's gayer than Grindr. Learn to love, learn to vogue, face your fate. We'll convert your children. Someone's gotta teach them not to hate. We're coming for them.
Pay attention to this part.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
For your children.
Find P3DO.
We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers. Then soon we're almost certain your kids will start converting you. The gay agenda is coming home. The gay agenda is here. But you don't have to worry. Cause there's nothing wrong with standing by our side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. No, you don't have to worry. Because there's nothing wrong with standing by our side. Get on board in a hurry. Because the world always needs a bit more pride. Come on, try a little pride. We'll convert your children.
Max flag.
Then we'll turn to you, giving up the fear inside is freeing like you never knew. Go and see San Francisco.
Go and turn up that disco.
You'll forget you were ever upset. We'll convert your children and make an ally of you yet. We'll make an ally of you yet.
Yeah, I think that's good.
That's enough.
Now, for the people out there watching, if that didn't make you mad, you need to go back and watch it again.
And I know the defenders when it first came out were saying that it's just supposed to be tongue in cheek, right? It's supposed to be a joke.
Yeah,
Right?
okay.
Like they didn't really mean they were going to come after your children. And it's like so hindsight now being 2020, haha, that's funny because it came out in that time. It's not true. It really isn't. Like I want to be fair in all this with people, and people do what they do, but like it's becoming way too freaking obvious that you're really trying to push a lot of things onto kids, and it's not right. It's not fair. Like with everything that's going on in the schools, with all the books, especially the one that the teacher got fired for recently for This Book is Gay, which teaches children, she was trying to give it to her middle school children, right, to read about Grindr and how to hook up with men for sex. Like, I'm sorry. Like, middle school children do not need a book that teaches them how to get on a dating app to have sex. I'm sorry. Or how to eat shit.
There was another
don't need
recent one at a school council meeting, and the father goes in and he confronts the council, whatever people, about why a teacher sent an assignment home with his young child about their sexual fantasies.
Yeah.
Can't
Why?
Jeez.
Why? Honestly, when look, even if we take the whole like gay agenda out of this whole thing, kids can't freaking read. Like legitimately, we have a literacy rate that is dropping dramatically, and we need to make sure they know their pronouns and what gay sex is. I'm sorry, your priorities are messed up at this point.
That's
dude.
right.
Like seriously, maths, English, right? And all of the other STEM classes are dropping dramatically. We don't even make it in the top 10 in the world for education for our kids, right? And this is the stupid shit you want to fucking push. Sorry,
Totally.
I'm gonna drink my
Fun fact.
calm down a second.
Fun fact. Did you know that a bunch of those guys in that choir are registered sex offenders?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not surprising to
Let
me,
that sink in.
honestly.
Now, okay, so let's tackle the elephant in the room, okay? Because we all know it's an elephant, and not just any elephant. It's like Horton here
It's
is
a
a
gay
huge
elephant.
elephant,
Big
okay?
pink one.
It is Horton level elephant, okay? It can talk.
Horton has a flashback.
Okay. Horton flashes the students is what it really comes down to.
Right.
We have at our doorstep multiple now men, yes, and women, but majority
And
right now are men. No, sorry, males. Let me make sure I get that term right.
Or
males.
claimed women who are
Claimed.
males.
So males that are now trying to find their way in front of children via the vehicle of feminism and being identified as a female. Now, here's the flip side. This is how they made the tandem work. Listen carefully. Listen carefully. This is how they made it fully work for them. So you have now the agenda to push the pro-woman's movement so that women can do no wrong. Okay, so they gave you and women, I'm sorry they did this to you, but you allowed it to. They gave you the idea that you're right and that you have strength and you have power. Then the same agenda snuck in and said, oh, now men can be women. And now men can do whatever they want to do that have a perverted mindset because women are never wrong.
That's right.
We're never wrong.
So now if you're a woman, and you come into a locker room that is mostly kids, they're not going to find a problem with that. Why? Because women are always getting the kids anyway. So now you have a homosexual child pedophile dude here in the bathroom with children, and no one's going to bat an eye because he identifies as the most protected group outside of BHI. So what are you going to do then? They're not going to give you back the rights now. In fact, they're going to switch the rights over to mostly trans and LGBTQ. You're not going to hear about women's rights anymore. I'm going to make a bet right now. If you hear them ever talk about women's rights again, I'll pay the first person that finds them saying I'll pay them some money.
Okay, I've actually got one, by the way. It was Kennedy recently said that his father and uncle fought for Title IX, and he doesn't understand why they are trying to get rid of women's rights in order for trans to be included. Like that's coming from a Democrat, like, right? Like that's kind of crazy. He's like, I don't get this. Why are we getting rid of women's spaces? That's not something we should be doing.
We have to really understand, and we all do understand what's happening here, right? So it went in phases. One of the phases that was recent was Black Lives Matter, right? What was Black Lives Matter? One of their tenets to get rid of the nuclear family. So with them feminizing these men, it destroys what a normal family looks like. So this is all a goal, man. This is all part of their freaking plan. And to go back to the video, because it's really disturbing and it's stuck in my brain right now. What is one thing that you noticed in that video? They were all men. They were all men singing about our kids. Why is it always men?
Males,
Think about that.
Males.
Yeah.
Males. Why is it always males? It's always males. They're the loudest ones. It's always the males that want to be females. They're the loudest ones. It's usually all them, but some of the gay males, a lot of the gay males, they're the loudest ones. But it's all the women that just kind of sit back, the lesbian women, and they just sit back and let it freaking happen.
It's funny.
Well,
women used to get mad at men making stereotypes about the cooking and all that stuff. Meanwhile, they're the same ones that back the homosexual agenda when they try to act overly feminine and say, oh, they're just trying to live their truth. Hold on. So you have no problem with them doing that and emphasizing the over the top normal reactions you have to things, and they make it elaborate. That's not ridiculing you, but us saying that you are great home bodies and you provide for the family at home, that's a problem for you. That's the one that's offensive, but not the dude flipping his hair back and always having long nails and flicking his hand a certain way. And that caricature of female is not a problem for you. But men saying women's role is to foster the children, that's bad. That's amazing to me.
Yep.
And some of these people in these communities, you ever get that white dude that, he acts more black than me? You ever seen those guys? They ridicule, or even white women who wear braids, they ridicule them. You trying to be this, you trying to be black, you're trying to da 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 da. But these dudes can overreact like a woman, like what they think a woman acts like.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
they can
Yeah.
overdo it, and they sassy and all this, and they're over there, yes, queen. And then you wonder why women are getting pushed to the side, because women that aren't a part of that
allowing it.
community, and not all. So remember, we don't mean all when we speak. They're not out there getting up in their faces and telling them that you are not a woman. We don't act like that. We don't talk like that. And you're not one of us. Stop accepting them into your community. You have to push them out. You have
Yep.
to. They have to feel unwanted. And it sucks to say that. They have to feel, you can't validate them, and they have to feel unwanted. Stop validating them. Don't use their pronouns. If it's a dude, it's a dude. He can look like Kim Kardashian. If it's a man, it's a man. I'm just saying.
Let's see this.
Yeah.
This was in June of this year, folks.
That was just a couple of weeks ago.
Hey, do we have the picture of you? There was the same parade. There was these bunch of old men, butt naked. I know we probably can't show it. There's probably a blurred out their version somewhere, but with their dongs out, right?
It's in Seattle. That was over here in Washington
Yeah.
State.
And they were just out there with it hanging out, and little kids, little girls walking by, and this old man, some dude caught him. He took a picture of him. This old man is looking at this little girl walking by,
And he had his stuff.
and he
ready.
had a wonk wonk. He had a rager, right?
Yeah.
And nobody did nothing. If I was a father, for one, I wouldn't take my kids to something.
Nobody
like
got
that.
arrested either.
Yeah,
No.
but or even just
was
a
Pride
real
Month.
man, and you saw that, and you turn a blind eye, you're the problem.
But it's
You were the
accepted.
problem.
It's
Because
accepted.
it's no longer about acceptance anymore, or like just toleration. It's about conversion, and it's about forced kink acceptance, because it's what it is. It's no longer about people being in loving relationships or just wanting to get married. It's just about kink education and acceptance. It's like, accept our kinks in public. It's like, no, take that shit to the bedroom where it belongs, dude. Like, why do I have to accept your weird fetishes? Okay, nobody needs to in public affirm your sexual fetish, period. Right? Because that's basically what you're asking us to do, most people to do. And it's like, no, I just want to go on the street and not see an old man's dong. Okay, like if I wanted to see that, I'd go to fucking
That's right.
Thailand, right? And see some old European doing that in a Speedo. All right, if I really wanted to see that. I do not want to see that, but that's where you can go if you want to. Okay, like,
You're
not
not
in the
gonna.
US. We don't need that.
You're not gonna convince these people that it's wrong anymore.
Yeah.
No.
There is no convincing them that this is wrong. Okay. I think what our problem is that we think somehow we can change people's mind about this. We let that ship sail way too long into the open sea, and it's now approaching the dock, and we have all the tassels out, and we have the flags raised, and we have people already catching the tugboat rope and tying it onto the dock and bringing in the ship into safety. We already at that point. There is no stopping and trying to say, oh, let's backtrack now. It's already broken ice and it's coming through. The only thing you can do at this point is try and seal off the doors to the ship.
Yep.
And hopefully break the hull and let it sink.
We're on the
it's here.
Titanic.
It's here right now. Okay, it is here.
Yeah.
Seattle has been this way for a while. Okay, Seattle has been known, just almost that people may not know this, but Seattle was only second behind San Francisco.
Yeah.
People may not realize this, but they're right behind San Francisco. I can tell you that firsthand. They've been this way for a while. With the advent of the internet and the advent of online situations, children are probably the most at risk for predatory behavior. They're the most at risk for indoctrination, and they try to tell people that the right-wing people are indoctrinated into what? Using a gun? Come on, people. And then you have
Going to
the
church.
adult males standing in front of children, and they have adult females going into them, taking their children to them,
Mm-hmm.
presenting their children to, and you may not want to see this, but this is what they're doing. You see a naked man on the street, old naked man, and you decide to go grab your kid and put them right between their leg. That's all they're doing.
Mhm.
I consider that child abuse myself.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so
And it is
definitely.
fully child abuse, and they're not getting arrested, and they won't be arrested because it was their plan for a long time. I keep trying to tell people the introduction of this civil rights nonsense was not for what people think it was for. It had nothing, and I'm going to say it again, nothing to do with race. This was about finding a door into the legal system to bring this about by pride people. That was the agenda. They can piggyback on something that people would readily accept as emotionally draining: slavery, oppression. And all of a sudden now you have them in here on top of the thing that people say was so egregious, and they're equating their struggle with black people's struggle. And the society is just taking it and run with it because now we're so dumb that we take this whole black thing and, oh yeah, 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 and not even realizing what it came in with. And it was a Trojan horse. It's a Trojan horse. The only antidote you have now, it's in your citadel, is to burn the Trojan horse with everything in it. Start afresh. Remove the whole civil rights thing altogether. Why? Because it came in with damaged goods. And then now you have your children being indoctrinated and put in front the most perverse, disgusting behaviors known to man. And it's accepted.
And what I've noticed is that when it comes to our kids, like with everything, every single agenda that they're pushing right now, from the homosexual agenda, where you cannot naturally reproduce, the transgender agenda, where you're chemically castrating kids so that they can't reproduce, and then ultimately, you got feminism, who are literally emotionally emasculating kids to the point where even the boys are afraid to approach women. Like this whole agenda of coming after kids is so egregiously heinous that it just makes you want to either not have kids as a single guy, or to overproduce kids so you can, raise your own basketball team to counteract this.
That's what Elon Musk is doing right now. Overproducing.
He's at what, 11?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, tons of
11
kids.
what? Kids?
Kids, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a lot of kids, man.
They're all cyborgs, man.
But he's got money, so he can raise them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
true.
the richest dude on earth, I mean, you could stand to have a few children.
But again, we can't act like this. This is something new. This is all part of a bigger picture. It's part of the population control, the agenda about lowering the population. We know this.
Right.
If they can turn the world gay, we can lower the population because no one's going to be having kids. Next thing you know, our kids are made in labs and they can create the kid and make it think any way the kid wants. Oh, we're going to make that one gay. We're going to make that one straight. We're going to make this on this. We're going to make this on that. So,
or they just eliminate the gay gene in general, and it's like, well, that was good for when we needed it. Now we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, but it's the biggest thing that we can do, I think, here on a social level, is ignore them. Like straight, unless it's in your face, ignore them. They don't exist. The loud, the crazy ones. People have gay friends and gay family members. I get that, but I'm talking about these crazy ones, the perverted ones.
It's coming down to needing to decouple. Like I think everybody on the right at this point has already accepted the fact that we live in two separate realities in America. Right? Mm-hmm. We live in two separate countries, and there is no reconciliation that is possible at this point. Right. I think we've gone beyond the point of being tolerant and accepting of a lot of things and people. And I think the right's been too accepting of a lot of things for a long time. And now people are starting to wake up and go, you know what? I'm done with this BS. Right. Like we're done.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find something here to play it.
Yeah, I do want to apologize for my language. I get a little heated. I'm a Marine. I cuss a bit, and I try really hard not to do that. You can ask Michael.
Yeah. You made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, but this is, we have to understand what a lot of this perversion leads up to. Human trafficking and child trafficking is huge in this country.
Yep.
So if you start training these children to trust these grown perverted men, when I was growing up, stranger danger. You know what I mean? Now,
Right.
No, just hop in the car with the
you're
friendly
putting
gay
it in
man.
her face, and the
Fine.
kids, they gain the trust. It's grooming, like we keep saying. They're grooming these children to trust them. If he can stand naked in front of me, that's a form of trust. We trust each other, right? Come over here and boom, and how these kids get wrapped up with these adults that they trust. They're trafficking them all over the country. So we need to violence.
Child trafficking is
chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Have you ever heard the remix of that with the song? It's
but
freaking
it's
great.
true.
I love that.
It's true.
It turned out to be true. He was.
It
he
is
was
true,
right.
and they thought he was crazy.
The Alex
Honestly,
Jones is right jar. Need that one.
I think that we need to be a people that have to jump on the phobe wagon, because the pendulum is
That's okay.
acceptance to the point of embracing all this stuff. If we're a rational people that look at everything and we connect the dots the way we are, it's high time we swing the pendulum back towards a little more phobia. I'm there.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think
someone-
a lot of people are starting to get into that realm because it's just like you've pushed it too far. Like once you started coming for the kids, that's when everybody said, "Hey, that's the red line. Like you
And
need to stop."
Someone said in the comments that homosexuality, this gay agenda, the perversion side of it, the big perversion side in your face, that's going to be the norm.
Yeah.
And we're going to be the oddballs. We're going to be the ones like it used to happen to them back in the day. You see a gay dude, everybody's like, oh,
wow,
my
you're
God.
straight? That's crazy. What's that?
Oh,
like?
you're straight? Oh, God, stay away. Breeder. That's
Yeah.
how we're going to be getting looked at. I'm just saying.
There's
hey,
this guy.
Who said that?
breeder?
They're right. Yeah. They used to call
Yeah,
us
the
breeders, man. Breeder.
Yeah, no,
remember that.
you're right in that regard, man. Like
That's like
I said,
that's like South Park and the Richers when they're trying to get around the N word.
the reality is stranger than fiction at this point. Like I don't think if you would have asked us 15, 20 years ago if this is how life was going to be, I wouldn't have believed you, honestly. All the crazy things that have happened in just the last 5 years, let alone the last 10 years, is insane. The amount of things that have happened, and I wouldn't have believed you.
But the thing that will never, we understand, but why are they focused on these little kids so much, man? That just bugs
the issue.
That bugs me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the
It's just-
agenda. That's
we
the
have
agenda.
to go after the kids. We have to. And now I think I forget the percentage of Gen Zs that identify with that
It's
community.
insane.
It's an
It's much
insane
more.
amount, like 1.6%. How much?
That's the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
You know what I
That's-
mean?
That's exactly what that is. It's not
And then
real.
25%.
if Gen Z is like this, a lot of them aren't going to have kids, but if they do, imagine the next generation. Imagine that generation, what the percentage is going to be. But half of this gen whatever identifies as that population. It's great, and we're going to be sitting there like old senior citizens, like, what the heck is going
No,
on?
when we're in the old folks' home, you know what the big thing's going to be? It's like
Vaccines.
no, it's not going to be that. It's going to be we don't have enough children. There's a crisis of children. Do you remember Children of Men? That movie
Yeah.
that came out?
Mhm.
That's what's going to
Yes.
happen. Because we're already on track for that with everything that's happening right now and all the people that we're sterilizing and getting rid of, along with the deficiency in people having children and replacement values. We're going to have a problem where they're trying to incentivize people to have kids, which is already happening in Asia right now, right? Especially in China. They're incentivizing people to have kids because there's not enough to sustain the population, let alone the economy, right? So when we're in the old folks' home, that's what the new thing's going to be. Is like, hey, we got to have people having more kids. We can't have all this stuff. So it'll eventually swing back, but it'll be too late by then, right?
Yeah.
There's not going to be any kids.
Do you remember Ants, the movie?
Yes, I love that movie.
And do you
Yeah.
remember the movie A Bug's Life?
Mhm.
Yep.
They both shared a certain commonality, right?
Mhm.
Big prey, small predator, big predator, small prey. And then they had this, whole idea of them being able to conquer the big baddie bird or the big bad grasshopper. And then they had this one interchange in A Bug's Life with the grasshopper at the bar. If you guys remember when he got this one little grain and he said
Mm-hmm.
that if they ever got the idea that they were as many as they are, we'd lose our handle on them.
Oh yeah, I
So,
remember that line.
Yeah.
okay,
I remember that
Mhm.
one.
now some people say, "Oh, yeah, see, they were trying to that was a right wing idea." No, it wasn't.
No.
No, it wasn't. Because what they were trying to say is that if parents ever got the idea in their head that they had control over their children and we didn't, we would lose our grasp on our money makers.
Mm-hmm.
They were telling us that they did not want to give up their grasp on this. Then he opened up the lid, and a whole ton of grain came
Yeah, I remember that scene.
slaughtering out and just
I mean,
killed his
it's a
buddy,
good-
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same
it's not
thing.
about it's not
Yeah.
about the grain. It's about showing
The
them
control of it.
it's basically showing them who's boss, right? It's not
Right.
about the grain, it's about the power
Mm-hmm.
and control.
And that's what's been happening. So now you're seeing the fruition of it. And I do believe this is not just the end, but this is the beginnings of the flowering of what they've been planting. If you go all the way back to the No Child Left Behind thing, okay, you might find it off topic, but listen carefully. Go back to
I
the
was
No
involved
Child
in
Left
that, yeah.
Behind. What do you do when you have No Child Left Behind? You dumb down the ones that are making it, because the few that aren't making it, they're lower. So repeat them, teach them better. But no, you keep back the entirety in order for the least to feel accommodated. What is happening now?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You think it's what do you think it's just coincidental? No. All
No, sir.
by design. All by design.
Mhm.
That's how we got here. We allowed it though. The
Mm-hmm.
same way we allowed people to have a TSA
the
check
Amish
the
were
way
right.
it is after 9/11, we allowed it. The same way Patriot Act got passed, we allowed it. The exact same way they let the gay agenda into school, we allowed it. When they took prayer school, we allowed it. Planned Parenthood, we have allowed all of it.
Yeah.
So in essence, we are the ones to blame for where we are, not the government, not the rest of the people. Our silence is what gave them the power they have now. So the only thing we can use to combat it is to negate our silence with our voice. And whoever we can save, we can save. Because at this point, the train's moving, and the only solution is to blow the train up.
And I've always talked about this, is that these powers to be, whoever they are, the shadow government, I don't know who the heck they are, they're way up there. They have to tell us what they're doing. That's what a lot of people have to understand. They show us in movies, they show us through music, they show us it's always in our face. It's right there. But if we accept it, then it's fair to them. It's fair game. Oh, they didn't say anything? Oh, roll with it. You know what I mean? They're not going to tell you straight up to your face, like, we're going to turn your kids into, gays. No, they're going to do little subtle things that you accept at a time, a little bit at a time, and you accept
Grooming.
it. And it's grooming. So as long as you're not voicing your opinion and saying something, they're like, I guess they're cool with it. Keep it going. Let's keep it going. But the minute we put a stop to it, then they have to rethink their strategy.
Yeah.
Take the hits, man. That's what I always say. Let them call you a bigot. Let them call you a homophobe. Let them call you a racist. Let them call you whatever they want. You know who you are.
Right.
You can call me every name in the book. Marlon and I, you know how many names we get called?
Yep.
Coons, Uncle Tom's, this, bigot, sellout. It don't stop us. We keep going because we know we're not those things. So don't be afraid of the backlash, because all they're going to do is words. They're not going to do anything. They're just all talk. And they use the same buzzwords. So if you don't agree, tell them you don't agree. Don't be nice. I don't agree with that crap. You're a bigot. Okay, I'll take that.
You do you, man.
Have a nice life. That's how the American spirit continues to stay strong.
That's Mr. Bigot to you.
Yes, we don't take no crap.
Checkmate.
What I mentioned a second ago, I think the Amish were right. When I really think about it, like, think of the Amish, right? They have said "F you" to the government for almost like 100 some odd years, right? They've just been doing their own thing in America, like it's their own country. They're like, I don't care about your rules or what you're talking about. We're gonna do our thing over here, and that's what we need to be doing. We need to be more like the Amish, right? Like, just do our thing over here, right? Get a community together, start being like the Amish, and say, you know what? You have your rules, but F your rules, and we're gonna do our own thing. That's what we're doing.
And don't you dare come into our place to mess with our rules either.
Exactly. Just be like the Amish.
Jedediah is
Join
going
the
to come at
community.
you.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that it'd be hard to revert back to that for a lot of people, or
That's
to
okay.
that.
No,
Because
I'm not
we-
saying be the Amish. I'm
Oh,
saying
no,
be
no.
like the Amish.
What I'm saying is that we've been spoiled all our lives with technology, right? So for me to just stop and say, you know what, I don't need internet, I don't need this, I don't need lights, I don't need anything. That's hard. That's a hard transition.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying
Oh.
be like the Amish and create a community outside of the system and just say F you. We're going to do our own thing over here inside America, right? We don't have to be tolerant and accepting. The Amish sure aren't, but they've been doing the same thing for over 100 plus years, man.
So
that's what I'm saying.
That's the beauty of being American.
Even if it was difficult, if you genuinely believe that the answer is in removal from that, you would sacrifice the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You'll realize that your children's life is worth more.
Yep.
If it means, okay, say like you just say you're not giving your kids any access to it till you're an adult and you've learned how to navigate your mind first and then the internet second, you should be willing to do that and risk even having your kid be mad at you because you understand the danger. If you understand the danger, then act like you're a parent. It's that easy. People like to think it's not difficult if it really means something to you. Okay, you've been in the military, you both, Coy and Bro. You've probably encountered things that are super hard to do, but you were called to do something.
Yeah.
And you had to do it. You had to find a way to do it, one way or another. If we had that same approach to life, we wouldn't be in this predicament, but we are because we don't have that same approach. And the other side does. As much as I hate who they are, they have that one thing in their favor that when they decide to do something, you know what they do? They do it. And they don't even care if you come at them. They will come back at you. They're doing what we should be doing. They're doing what we should be doing. Because we have the right to cause and they don't.
So the question is, dangerous freedom or safe slavery?
Dangerous freedom.
Dangerous freedom.
Dangerous freedom, yeah. That's the way we have to be.
Violent freedom too, if I have to. But Saturday, guys, we have some big news for you Friday on Saturday. We can't do it Friday because this is a Rumble only thing.
Oh, that's right.
I have recently come into possession of a full breakdown of Hunter Biden's laptop. And I mean,
are we on YouTube? Pause. Are we still on YouTube?
Yes, we are still on YouTube. Images and all. Details of everything and all. We will be tackling it on Rumble this Saturday.
Y'all better be there. Oh
all
my
right.
gosh.
So I'm giving you fair warning now that if you cannot stomach certain things, don't come.
That's right.
Don't show up. But the thing is, people need to know. People need to know that it's real. One, that it is real, not just some fairy fanciful thing out there in the ether. It is real. Unlike all the crap they have against Mr. Orange, the wet potato has real documentable crimes, and we have it. So we'll talk about it and show you at 6:30 Eastern on Saturday. Do not miss it. Don't.
Hey, so before we go, you know, when it comes to human trafficking, it starts in our communities. Yeah. You know, we have to really look out for each other within the communities and look out for creeps and perversion and all this other stuff. You know, we don't want to. It's a huge epidemic in our country. So make sure everybody goes out and sees, you know, this movie.
Sound of Freedom.
There you go. Just a moment. I'm sorry.
Coy's muted.
There you go. There you go. So everybody knows this movie is out. I've heard really, really good things about it.
Which movie? What's it called?
It's up. There you go.
Yes, I've heard about it.
The Sound of Freedom,
The Sound of Freedom. So it's gotten really good reviews so far. Check it out. You know, I heard it goes deep. I heard it'll make you cry. It'll make you angry, but it will open your eyes. And our eyes always have to be open. Don't allow perversion to change who we are down to our core values.
If you're not
you
sure
have a core value, no matter what the social status says to do, stick to your values always.
So if you're not sure who the actor is in that movie, he's actually the guy that played
Jesus.
Christ in Passion of the Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Caviezel.
Mhm.
Jimothy Caviezel.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, go see it
Jimbo.
and let them
So
call
we
you
will-
what you want.
We will be
Or-
back on Friday. We have a topic here soon enough. We probably could tackle the
Wait.
cocaine in the White House thing on Friday.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
How much of a mess up do you have to be to
Stupid
try
idiot.
cocaine in the White House?
We'll talk about cocaine in the White House. White in the White House. Hey, he's making the White House white again. Okay, so
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
My guess is that some intern's about to get fired and arrested just so they can let Hunter off.
Mm-mm.
Probably,
It's like it was
yeah.
mine. And you're just gonna blame it on some intern.
Hey, if Trump could make America great again in orange, Biden can make the White House white again in white. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let it snow. Let it
white
snow.
power.
Well, you
I'm,
know,
I'm sorry, white powder. White powder.
White powder.
White powder.
White powder.
Oh man.
That's good.
Look, that's embarrassing, though. I mean, you have to be.
Ugh.
You're an embarrassment, Mister. Whatever your name is, Potato Junior. You were an embarrassment. I would disown you as a
Potato Head
father.
Junior.
You'd be disowned. I'd be like,
Right.
get away from me. Go move
Ugh.
somewhere else.
Anyway, we'll
speak
talk
to me.
about that on Friday, and then we'll
Yep.
show you all the info that we found on said laptop and stuff on Saturday. So don't miss it.
6:30 Eastern.
Be there at 6:30 Eastern PM Saturday PM Eastern PM, and we will talk then. Mr. Lee, please take us out.
Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your comments, and share all of this content. And we will see y'all Friday.
War.